Plains, Art, my business partner, and the master electrician and the master HVAC tech. He started the company as what's called Arts Electric, and then grew it into what it is today. And I joined with him about three and a half years ago now, as well. And that's most of our team. We've grown a little bit. Kent shown on the screen right now, our website. But that's most of our team there. We got a couple more people added to that list as well, which is really good. And yeah, it's we do a lot of things. So we do HVAC, electrical. We're indoor air quality experts. We focus on Generac generators. So we actually have a generator division as well. And then smart home integration. So how to use technology in your home successfully and let it work for you rather than you having to be frustrated with it as well. Because I use it every day. And I love it, but it's a lot to set up and it's a lot to organize. And there's a lot of marketing strategies out there with smart home stuff, and you can get lost in it real quick. And then, you get frustrated. You don't want to do it. Well, at the end of the day, I love home automation. I want lights to turn on when I walk in certain rooms. I want things to shut off when I leave the house. I want my temperatures to do different things in the house. And that kind of encompasses everything that goes on there as well. So I drive my wife nuts all the time. I know she's on the show right now too, with it, because every other week I'm testing some product or I'm adding something into the house. And she goes, I have to do what? I have to, why? So she's usually my devil's advocate for testing things, because if she gets really annoyed with it fast, then I know it's not really, user friendly on the non-technical side of things. But if she gets it and uses it every day, then man, I can talk great things about why she uses it all the time, which is awesome. So
that is fantastic. Wow.
So real quickly, Derek, is that something that you've seen more lately, as far as just having things like smart lighting and that sort of thing that you just described now versus maybe 5 years ago or so? Is that a trend with
it's huge 3 years. I would put it in the 3-year mark. So probably 5 years ago is when, and I bought my first smart home tech for my home. It was the Hue lighting system, because I bought it for a purpose. In my basement in my home, I have a light switch that is not central to the entire room. So I have to walk around certain sections of my basement to flip different switches on. That could have been fixed one of two ways. One, at the time, I wasn't doing electricity. I wasn't working in the electrical field. So I was the same way. I'm not going to touch something I don't know how, and it hurts. And in the second sense of it, how can I make it easier so that I can just leave everything on and control it from my phone? And Hue was the one that I actually partnered with. And I'm so glad I did, because Hue's an amazing company. And they're the only lighting company that allows their products to keep getting better. So what I mean by that is everyone doesn't have the same bulbs in their house. You have different decor bulbs. You have different types, the skinny screw-in bulbs versus the fatter ones versus the 220 bulbs. Hue is the only one that progressively tries to make their product fit everyone's home. So you want that on one central app, because if you have to go to 15 different lighting apps to turn off your house, you're just going to be irritated from the beginning. Just control it from one app. Make it really simple. We do holiday fun stuff outside in our garage. So like our lights outside, the app's very simple to use. It tells you what lights are on and what lights are off on there as well. And Mike, obviously one of my co-hosts for Dream Home Experts, we have it in the studio. We use it all the time. You can change different colors with it as well. It's a very simple process. To answer your question, yes, electric vehicles are starting to integrate. I can charge my car at certain times of the night. That actually saves the home money. So the car itself will turn on and charge and charge off depending on what the rates are for my electricity bill, which actually helps save energy as well. So it can get really deep in there really fast. So I don't want to, you could talk an hour about charging,
we'll make it a different show, right?
That's right.
That's it. So
do you do solar panels at all?
We do not. No. Totally different world, totally different type of power and transforming of that power and energy. We just don't have the expertise with it. So if we don't have it, then we don't do it. I wish I could recommend a company that we would stand behind, but unfortunately we have not found one in Illinois that is even at our quality of what we do in our work.
I'm sorry. Is it outside of quality also like a huge amount of an expense or cost to set up solar paneling and the right contracts and whatnot?
Yeah, so for us, it comes down to safety. The safety in the industry and safety for that kind of wattage and voltage that's being pumped into your home and a battery pack that's being stored at a certain temperature because batteries expand and contract based on temperatures. It's also Illinois laws that are in place. You can never actually fully go off grid in Illinois. You still have to be connected to ComEd of some kind of shape or form, and that law was set up many years ago. The roof stuff, the roof questions, and I'm just going to speculate here. I'm probably going to have 15 people call me about, hey, you don't know this. You're right, I don't. The research that I've done, it damages your roof, it voids your warranty with your roof. I've seen the electrical wires that come off of those solar panels. They are not in rigid conduit. They are not safe in my eyes when it comes down to how they brought into the house. I don't know what weather coating ratings are on them and stuff like that. Whenever we touch stuff, we try to make things last 30 to 50 years. So for me, it's a long-term success for your home. Whether you're going to be in your home or not, somebody else is going to live there. I can't sleep at night if someone dies in a home because of an electrical fire.
Right.
At that point, my standards are just so high with that kind of stuff that it's just not fitting yet. Now, I did go to my aunt and uncle's house in New York for Thanksgiving this year, and they have a geothermal system in their house that they just installed, which was probably one of the coolest things ever. Ridiculous amount of energy savings, and they had off-grid solar panels on their house and completely wired correctly and amazingly done. And I would advocate for that company all day long, but they're 750 miles away. But probably one of the cleanest jobs I've ever seen. My uncle runs the plow division for the county of New York State, and he does a real good job of it too. He's just a methodical person, and you can see it all the way through his house. Every detail of his home has been very meticulously drawn out, and it's the way things should be done, and that's how we operate our company. We do things the way they're supposed to be done. We don't cut corners. We don't do the cheap way. It has to be done the right way, because at the end of the day, I just want to stand behind it and know that we can sleep every night with it.
That's the way to do it. I mean, yep, that's it. Integrity and trust, right? That's what we're talking
That's
about. And that's it. You talked about something you mentioned, indoor air quality. Now, these days, it's becoming really important, not only at home, but in airplanes and boats and restaurants and etc. How do you get better quality? Is it just a filter or?
Yeah, it's a multitude of different things. So your HVAC system, for those of you that don't know, it's very simple. It sucks air in and then it blows it back out. Okay. If you want to get to the nitty gritties of how a furnace or an AC works, it pulls air in and then it distributes it through the house. It needs to suck in the same amount of air that it blows out, which is why, if you can have some issues with that. But to answer your question, it really starts with a camera inspection. So we're going to camera inspect your ducts to make sure that the ducts are clean and you have a fresh, clean slate. You don't eat off a dirty dish or throw soap on a dirty dish and then eat off that dish. You need to start with a blank, clean slate with that. Filters are good. A very, very big common misconception that happens in the industry is the higher MERV rating is better for your home. It is better for your home if you have the correct airflow that can accommodate for the restriction of air with that MERV air filter as well. So what we run into a lot is we'll get a phone call and I have no heat in my house. It's -2 degrees outside. We just installed this really expensive, $100 MERV filter in our house, and now my heat's not working. Well, what happens is that the system, when it was installed to have a inexpensive 1-inch filter that was rated at a certain MERV rating. Once you start adding,
I'm going to stop you for a second. Can you just kind of say what a MERV is? I don't know if everybody's aware.
it's the amount of cleaning that is being done in the filter itself. So
more fibers, something like that.
Yeah, more fibers. It's condensed more, so it actually repels more of the 99% of the allergens versus 80% of the allergens. So basically, it's weaved together harder, and the molecules can't get past that as well. Well, when you get those molecules that way, you're not allowing air to flow through it as efficiently as it once was, having a lower rating on there as well.
Thank you.
So if you are going to think about investing in some kind of MERV filter, make sure you partner with an HVAC company. Obviously, we're available for you to come out and to properly make sure that your duct system is set up correctly for that MERV filter, that you have the right size furnace to be able to power through the airflow needed to make sure that that furnace doesn't trip on what's called high limit, which basically means it overheats itself because it's not getting enough air to cool off the heat exchangers inside of the furnace. So it trips a safety function inside the furnace and kills the furnace on in, and you got no heat. The other big indoor air quality conversations we talk about is like ozone producers or negative or positive ions. So we sell a product called iWave. There's an iWave R for residential, an iWave C for commercial, and then an iWave for mini split systems as well. That's a whole nother conversation that we'll get into later. But what it does is it does negative and positive ions released inside your furnace. It's a small little box that sits inside your furnace. The thing about it that I like is there's no maintenance to it. So we recommend maintenance once a year on your furnace, once a year on your AC before the season starts to make sure everything is running correctly. There's no high amperage to certain components inside there. Make sure something's not corroded or loose wires or anything like that. Gas pressure is correct, and multitude of different things that we look at when we go through our maintenance. Those actually send out negative and positive little ions into the air, and those negative and positive ions attach to the protein of whatever it's killing. So it actually sucks the protein out of the virus or bacteria and starves it from the inside out. So it actually kills the bacteria and viruses that are inside there. It starves them completely. And then what you're left with is just dust. What was that?
That is Homer Simpson saying it's time for Martinez's Mortgage Minute.
Beautiful.
Yes, good afternoon. There's just 10 things that I wanted to cover real quickly. 10 things not to do before applying for a home loan or refinance. And I'm just going to do a quick rundown here to make sure, the audience can jot these down and apply them to things that they need to do. So number one,
they'll be posted out on your Facebook group page as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, sir. So the 10 things not to do before applying for a home loan is number one, forget to check your credit, which is very important. A lot of people jump in there, do an application. They don't know exactly what credit rating they have, etc. Missed payments on a credit card or other bills. Right before the loan closes, the bank will do a soft check pool to see if there's any new debt, if there's any late payments, which can affect the loan status for approval later on as well. Take on any new debt. You want to make sure you limit your spending. The lender does not want to see your debt to income increase, which can affect your rate, which can affect the approval rating of the loan. So don't do that. Apply for any new lines, whether it's a membership, if you're leasing a vehicle or what have you, that adds up to your debt to income. So that can definitely, disrupt the loan status and ultimately cost you to get the loan approved. Number 5 is close any credit accounts like credit cards or whatnot. Maybe lower the balances, freeze your credit card so you don't use them, but never close it out, especially during the transaction for a home or refinance purchase. Number 6 would be to co-sign for any loans, like I said, memberships, leases. Even if you're second on the loan and someone else is making the payments, that can get difficult. That can be time consuming to have the loan approved. So just don't do that. Avoid it at all times as possible. Number 7, make any big purchases. That can definitely affect you with having money saved in your account for down payment and closing cost. Number 8 would be dip into your savings. Don't do that. Make sure you keep a healthy balance there. They normally recommend 6 to 3 months in reserves, depending on the loan type and what you're doing. Number 9, very important, do not change jobs or have a leave of absence, which can impact your overall wages and approval. And the number 10 thing to not do is make large deposits without any documentation. Banks don't like it, so don't do it. Make sure you have a paper trail and make everyone's life easier when doing a home loan purchase or a refinance.
Boom, boom.
There you go. That was Martinez's Mortgage Minute.
You're telling me I shouldn't put my drug money from under my mattress into the savings account, right?
Put it in an offshore account.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Funny,
Martinez, do you recommendation for offshore account? Where should I go? That's good.
Tune in next week.
Next time.
So here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to take a minute here as the producer just to brag about Gold Shield Services.
Right.
They being as many people know, Kevin Callback helped me find a new home. Eddie Martinez did the lending on that home, and Gold Shield Services came into my old home that I was selling and did a lot of work. Here's the interesting thing, and I want to know where you guys kind of came up with this. Your attention to detail, number one, in the job was absolutely fantastic. But here's what totally blew my wife and I away is I got a text and an email the night before. Hey, don't forget tomorrow, Gold Shield, right? Is going to come out in this window.
Right.
And then like 30 minutes before they show up, I get a text with a picture of the, hey, Travis is coming out. And it gives me a picture of Travis. He'll be there in the next 30 minutes.
Like with the MapQuest?
No, just it was just a text with a picture and saying, if you have any questions, let us know. So we knew exactly who. I mean, it was amazing, and y'all were like spot on with everything, and it made it very comfortable. And it's not like hey, Xfinity is going to be out somewhere between one and never, and you wait around all day, right? Now we, of course, we're working. My wife and I, our 19-year-old daughter was she felt very safe. That she knew who was coming over and when, and what pushed you guys? What pushed you guys to do that?
So this is I'm gonna try to keep this as short as I can. My life is detailed in general. I don't make short moves here. I make big moves, and my big moves are extremely calculated. Kent, to answer your question very easily, I put myself in your shoes as a homeowner. Okay, so your shoes in a homeowner, you're scared, and it happened to me when I first moved into our house. Our water heater blew up in the middle of the day right after I left. My wife called me. She's telling me that there's water spewing out of this, area of the water heater. And I got her on FaceTime because I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, where is water coming from? Like, why is it coming out of this? And that sense of panic, right, sets in. First off, my wife is home by herself, and she was leaving for work. She has water spewing all over our basement. I am 45 minutes away from the house at this point and now have a choice. I'm going to walk her through this on the phone and try to get the water to shut off, or I'm going to make it home in 25 minutes and probably get arrested on the way. Because one, I don't want my house to be destroyed. Number two, I can only imagine my wife, who doesn't do stuff like this, to have to figure out what I'm trying to talk about, which I'm looking for the ball valve that's on top of the water heater to shut off. Number three, was that ball valve installed properly? And is it going to actually shut off the water? Is all running through my head, right? So we have a 2-hour window that we do with our appointments. So number one, so we try to show up. It doesn't always work. I mean, during during heating season right now, we run, like yesterday, we were running late on a bunch of appointments. But our biggest thing is communication. The one thing that I learned when my water heater did, because I don't do plumbing. We do boilers and tankless water heaters, but that is not plumbing, right? So, and I wasn't working for Gold Shield at the time, and I wasn't owning Gold Shield at the time. So there's a whole nother realm of that. So I called the big guys, right? And the amount of phone calls I made to even get a hold of somebody, a live person. Hey, my water heater just blew up. I don't know what to do. And I need somebody here. We're leaving on vacation in 2 days. I don't know if this is safe. I have 5,000 questions. It literally took the biggest company in the ugly snot trucks, I'm just going to call them that, to pick up the phone. Had no information of what I needed to do. Told me that there were going to be a 4-hour window and never showed up, by the way. Hence, really frustrating on my end. And I had made plan B and plan C arrangements and actually just ended up doing it myself and then have someone come in and braise because I didn't know how to braise at the time. And it's funny because every part of what I do, Ken, is feedback from our clients. So we listen very intently on our clients. We noticed during the pandemic, 2020, a lot of women called in to the show or to the show, It is the show. It is the
Golden
show. It's the
Shield
Golden
show.
Shield show. So they called in to have a wife or a partner of some kind call in. It makes it very hard when you have a big burly dude walking into your house that you've never met before. You don't know what they're looking like. There's a lot of scams out there in the world. So we kind of tried to make a lot of things go away with that kind of stuff. Our guys are background checked, drug tested. Our guys have clean records. They have clean driver's licenses, all that kind of stuff as well. So all those minute details kind of played into different softwares that we had to go research. And Art and I spent a ton of time going through and finding that exact fit that we wanted to make sure it gave you that experience that it was, but it also was automated, right? So I didn't send you that text message, Kent. The system did, but I have it set up that 24 hours in advance because me, as a homeowner, I have so much going on that I forget that I have an appointment the next day. So we send an appointment 24 hours in advance, just reminding you. And then we also send you a text message when they're on their way. Now, to answer your question, Martinez, you ready for this? Okay. That is coming soon. So that is our next step. So we are integrating our system to have almost like an Uber show you where the technician is so that you can physically prepare so that that technician is you are completely aware when that technician is going to be there. There's full transparency around that as well. And we have the software that we're working on with it right now. We're just testing right now. So it hasn't been released to the public, but it will show that as well. We track vehicles. We track speed of vehicles. We track how fast they're going. We track how long their cars or trucks are running. All of that impacts the business, which impacts your client's paycheck or money that you give us. So when you have somebody who cares a lot about the details and cares a lot about the experience, right? So the experience is the most important part of it. The work should be done correctly because that's my expectation. That's it. Now, my goal is to have the experience wrap around that work so it makes you feel good and you're well educated around that. That's the hard stuff, right? In the industry, it doesn't happen that way because the work sucks. There's a lot of people that just don't know what they're doing, and we constantly have to fix it. And I have 50 million stories over the past month of stuff that we've walked into that I dealt with 2 hours ago, where I'm just like, how are you an electrician? How are you in the HVAC field? Like, where did you get your training? Oh, you didn't. Oh, okay. And you're telling me I don't know what I'm doing. No, my guys know what they're doing because they get trained by the vendors and the vendors tell them how things are supposed to be so that you as a client can be safe and secure with that kind of stuff. So,
I'll just say this. The work is the nicest stuff in the house that we sold. Absolutely.
I don't know. Your wife's wall in there is gorgeous, dude. Yeah. You guys, your wall in there is one of the nicest walls I've ever seen. So,
but
just saying.
Truthfully, the work was outstanding. The whole experience was probably the best customer experience that I've had in many, many years. I mean, Kevin, your customer service also surpassed everything. Awesome. That you went way above and beyond. And if you're looking to buy a house, you gotta call Kevin.
There we go.
Now, real quickly here, we talked a lot about all the plans and everything that you're trying to implement to provide that better experience for your customers. And let's say someone needs a completely new unit for heating or air or a lot of electrical work. What does that cost look like? I know it's hard to really tell me specifically, but what will that range in, especially for new unit replacement and labor?
Right. Now, so globe. So kind of think about all states. What is there a common factor there?
Yeah. So I've lived across the country, guys, and for my background, I used to open retail stores for a living. So I opened 60 stores in 4 years. I lived in 30 states. So to give you a really good preference of exactly the different states have different rules. Even in Illinois, there's different rules inside the states as well. There's different electrical code. So in a place like Elgin, Romex is still legal and allowed. In a place like the city of Chicago, it has to be all hard piped and in conduit. And there's massive amounts of differences in cost with that as well. I say this all the time. We are not the cheapest company. We are also not the most expensive company. We are the best value you will ever get from an HVAC or electrical company.
I would agree.
Now, thank you, Ken. So it's about experience. So my background is a lot in retail and retail management and organization and operations, right? The operations of what we try to do is to make it feel like we're part of your family, because we want to be. We want to be in your house twice a year. We want to be checking through. We want to be that uncle for you guys that something breaks, you call, and the uncle shows up and takes care of it. We want to, or the uncle or the aunt, because, obviously we had a female electrician too. So I don't want to put it on a sexist part of it, because it's not true. We hire everybody. I just care about the expertise on it as well.
He covered that jerk really quick.
Back up real quick.
That's on air too, folks.
That's right.
Yeah, great. Sounds good. Well, then I politically made it correct for it. So
that's
right. So to answer your question about systems, there's so many factors. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We have installed systems for $4,500. We've installed systems for $45,000. And there's a massive range in that as well. So each house has either one furnace or one air conditioner. We go to houses that have 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioners, which is very common in our area, where you have an upstairs furnace and AC and a downstairs furnace AC. But then you go to places like Barrington that have 10 furnaces and 10 ACs, and a 4,500 or 45,000 square foot house with a cabin in the back and an in-ground pool and all this kind of stuff, a whole boiler system and a heated driveway, and heated floors for hydronic heating, because we do all that as well. So here's what I tell people when it comes down to cost. Number one, how educated are they giving? How much education are they giving you as a client? Okay. So the value comes into what you're learning about. If you're buying a full system, there's something supposed to be done on every single time that we do it. I'm just going to speak on behalf of us, because I know we're one of the only companies in the area that do this. We load calc your house. We look at the roof. We look at the windows. We look at siding. We look at which way your house is facing. We go through and analyze the square footage, what kind of wood is being used in your house, because all of that factors in to the size furnace and AC that needs to be put into there as well. So I hope that helps a little bit, Martinez, but it's a hard question to ask, and we get asked how much do the things cost all the time. The best thing to do, we have a dedicated person. His name's Mac. He's our comfort specialist. His sole job is to come into your house, do a load calculation, and educate you on exactly what his recommendations would be based on your budget that's inside your home. If you want to go with us, that's great. If you don't want to go with us, you're educated for the next person as well. It sucks for us, because obviously we want to do that. We don't sell at all. We educate. And you make the decision as a homeowner, because at the end of the day, if someone comes in with a white t-shirt on, looking real pristine, and says, hey, your heat exchanger's cracked. Well, did you show me a picture of it? No, I've been doing this long enough. It's cracked. I'm not going to believe that. I want to see pictures of my heat exchanger cracked. I want to show what a heat exchanger does, what damage that does to my family if I leave it not fixed. And on top of that, what the cost of the replacement is and what the best 3 options are: good, better, best. There's a budgetary option, there's a normal option, and there's a best option. You want higher ratings for different SEERs and different types of furnace and ACs to give you better efficiency to save money in the long run? Then great. Or do you want the inexpensive one that just gets you by because you're going to sell the house in 3 years and you're not worried about it?
There we go. All right, hold on just a second. That music means one thing. It's Kevin Callbacks. What's hot, what's not in the world of real estate? You got a minute to win it.
Minute to win it, baby. We got. So we are watching 2022 like a hawk, looking at how things are shaping up for the upcoming year. We don't have a crystal ball, but our best recommendations are guesses through Inman and other corporations we watch. Is 2022 is going to be prices are still going to go up on real estate, not as fast as they did last year. And we're also going to have a lot of sales. Inventory is still probably going to be down. If you're looking to sell, you should be talking to a realtor right now, because a lot of homes start selling in February. So when people say, oh man, this many homes closed in March, April, those went under contract in February and March, and they're setting the pace for your neighborhood. So you should set your pace for your neighborhood and list first. And the other thing is, if you're a renter and your lease ends in April or May, you should be looking for houses being pre-qualified right now.
Right now.
Whoop, whoop.
That's been Kevin Colback's What's Hot, What's Not in the World of Real Estate. Now, back to you, fellas.
So Derek, you gave us a real great answer on the what the cost can be depending on the home and how many units and whatnot. And as far as for your customers to reach out for financing, do you offer those services? Do you partner with someone? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, offer 0% for a multitude of different things. We also offer different types of financing as well for different situations with people. So we offer 0% for 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, and a 72-month option as well. We use a company called Wells Fargo. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with them as well. It's Wells Fargo Retail Services as well. They also, we work with another company called Green Sky. Green Sky also offers 0% financing options as well, but they do approve for different classifications and lower credit scores as well. So we can always apply and see what's going on. I am huge when it comes to finance stuff and it comes to educating people. I want to make sure you understand that if you go ahead and apply for something, you're expecting to buy this furnace. Because you don't want to apply with us and then decide, hey, I don't want to go with you guys. I want to go with this other company and have to apply again. You're going to hurt your credit score. You're going to reapply on there again. Plus, you have a second open line of credit because once you apply for that, you're actually committed to it. So there's some financial advice that we try to give as well. So again, it's just the education part of it. I want people to feel comfortable with the purchasing. It's not cheap. It's simple as it is. A whole house rewire can cost upwards of $40,000 to $50,000 depending on what you have going on. We've done a ton of them this year with all these houses being purchased. Another huge piece of advice when someone's buying a house, inspection reports, homeowner inspections are amazing. They are not licensed electricians and they are not HVAC technicians. They're not plumbers. They're not roofers. You need to be aware of that. We actually offer a service that we will come in and verify your electrical system in the house you're about to buy. So you can pay us to have a licensed electrician sign off, and that puts my name on the line, puts our name on the line, Gold Shield, saying that this electrical system is safe to operate, safe to be in, and here's the expected cost for areas that you need to be as well. We do the same thing for the HVAC side too. We will go through the entire furnace and air conditioner and make sure everything is correct so that when you buy your home, you are confident and you can hold somebody responsible, us, for what you're purchasing. I can't tell you the amount of time, guys, that I walk into houses after someone just bought it. Hey, I just bought this house and I have a flickering light. Well, you have cloth wiring inside there and you have an electrical panel that is undersized for the house. You double tapped and now all of a sudden you got a mess and we have to clean it up. And by the way, I'm really sorry to do this, but it's $35,000 to fix all this stuff. Well, how are we supposed to do that? Well, we can apply for financing. We just bought this house. It makes the worst customer experience when all I got is bad news. Let us get ahead of it. Okay. We preach maintenance. We preach that we're available for you. I would rather pay the fee to come out and check the electrical system and not buy the house than walk in there and spend $35,000 to do something that's really not fun to do for us either, because we got to rip walls out. We got to pull circuits again. We got to place conduit and none of it's covered under insurance. So you're fronting the bill. It sucks. It's a terrible conversation and I hate having it. So
that's it. We're going to take a step back. So you said somebody comes to your house and they're wearing the t-shirt. They tell you your heat exchanger is cracked. So when people are calling around and they compare prices and they say, well, this guy is this much, this is that much. And there's a wide range in a lot of those. When somebody are calling around, what are the questions they could ask to make sure, because you don't work in all across the United States. What are people, what questions should they ask to make sure they're getting somebody that knows what the heck they're talking about?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things you want to do. So you want to check with your county because Wisconsin itself has licensed HVAC technicians. Illinois, unfortunately, does not have licensed HVAC techs. You do not need to pass any kind of schooling other than an EPA test that you need to take, which you can honestly study for about a week and pass this test. So I always tell people that you can have people in your house as calling themselves an HVAC tech that has a week of training that is not even professionally done. It's a scary function, right? There's gas, there's fire, and there's combustion air inside of that furnace that can blow up, literally blow up. So reviews are amazing. Those are really good places to start. You want to be able to check over their licensing itself. For Illinois, you can go to cyberdrive.com to verify that the company is insured. You can ask for a certificate of insurance to show that they have insurance for your house. You can ask if any permitting needs to be done for the job that's required. I can tell you right now that every furnace and AC that you replace in your house, you should be pulling a permit for. If they're not pulling a permit, my first question is, are they doing the job right? Because if you're pulling a permit, you're putting two people liable. You're putting the city and yourself, the company that's doing it, liable, because you have a third party coming in that's non-biased towards you or towards the company. Just want things done on there correctly as well. You can always ask your public forums. Facebook's are really turning into a really good source for recommendations. So you want to pay attention to that as well. Ask your community. Neighborhood Pulse, your neighborhood local chamber, is other huge area of expertise as well. The chambers have built relationships with their local businesses. We're in Algonquin, and I cannot talk enough good things about Algonquin itself. Algonquin is an amazing town, and it really cares about the people that live inside of it. So the chamber is really well connected to the businesses that are there as well. Do your due diligence is what it comes down to. The second thing on there as well.
I heard McHenry Chamber is better, but I don't know.
McHenry Chamber is really good. I got to say something. One thing real quick. And I just had it, I'm gonna say it. It's gonna be funny, but I can't. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
I know you do. And I've lost my train of thought with it now.
All right, so let me ask. I'll ask you this question, and it'll come back. This came in from a listener. Listener wants to know: I've got a motion lights on my house, and they just recently started blinking. So they're outside, and when the dog runs by or the person's shoveling or whatever snow, instead of just turning on, they're blinking. What would cause that?
There's a couple different things. There's never a blanket statement for what is causing something. So there could be issues with the motion sensor itself. I would ask a question of how old is the motion sensor? When the last time you've checked that circuit in the panel itself? Have you added anything new into the house? A lot of times, if another electrician comes in that is not us, they steal power from different areas. I would ask if it's LED or halogen or newer bulbs, because if you switch out your halogen bulbs to a LED bulb, the fixture itself actually might not be compatible for an LED structure as well. So my favorite, these are great questions, by the way, and thank you so much for asking that. So my advice to that person that just wrote in here is to have an electrician come out and check it out, because it can be a very simple fix or it can be a very dangerous fix. Blinking lights in anywhere part of your home can be one of two things: fixture issues, wiring issues. If the wiring, there's something called a neutral, so you have a common and a neutral and a ground. So those are your three wires that make up a 110 circuit. If your neutral is touching and tapping, you can actually create friction and heat inside of there, and that heat can turn into a fire. And this is why I'm not a big fan of Romex. We use it because it's legal in certain stuff. But if that heat starts to flicker and starts to burn, the Romex has nothing to protect it other than its sheathing that's on it, where a conduit is a piece of metal that keeps it contained inside of the pipe, which is why we love conduit so much, is because it's the safest way to keep electricity in your house. So that if a circuit does fail, it grounds out to the conduit itself, grounds out to the panel, grounds out to the ground outside, or to the cold water main, just depending on how your electrical system is in your house. So to answer your question, I would call a licensed electrician, have someone take a look at it. It is something you want to pay attention to. You do not ignore light flickering at all on there as well. So do you see how one little question can turn into like 400 things?
Truthfully, right?
So
but amazing. It's stuff you don't necessarily think of.
You tell by looking at us, we're going, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, well, unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah. I mean, I get phone calls from people all the time with this kind of stuff, and what could it be? And it happened today. I mean, I got a phone call late last night, 10 p.m. It was a buddy of mine, and he called me and said, "Hey, my Nest thermostat's giving me an RC code. What could it be?" And I'm going, dude, like, if you not known me for years, like, it could be 400 different things. I said, first off, the Nest is a piece of junk. Get it out of your house. I am not a Nest fan at all. I'm an Ecobee fan. Nest.
Got Ecobee.
Yeah, please. Yeah, Ecobee is amazing. We have almost no problems. Coming from an HVAC professional, I'm telling you right now, our HVAC guys hate Nests. They always fail. They always cause problems. And that's
a sponsor, and then we absolutely love you.
I'm going to deny that one, Ken, but you can do whatever you want. Yeah, there's some things I'll do and some things I won't do for money. That I won't do.
A couple minutes out, so if they want to get a hold of you, Derek, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, no problem. It's really simple. Every single piece of information you find about us has a way to get a hold of us. The easiest ways to get a hold of us is on the phone, 847-376-8094. If you're an introvert, like a lot of people in this world, you can go to our website, www.goldshieldtoday.com. There's a book now function physically in the middle of our website. If you click on it, it will give you dates and times for availability for our tech.
Cool.
So you can physically book an entire appointment right online. We do it almost every minute of the day, which is great. If the time doesn't work for us or if it's double booked, you will get a phone call immediately about it because we want to make sure we get your appointment put in line on there as well. So simple.
So you started when, if you've been in the business 13 years, you must have started when you're about 10 because you look about 23.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Now I know why Kent used you, buddy.
That's
now
right.
I know why.
That's it. I'll tell you, we would thank you for coming on the show today. You've given a lot of information, and I know people really appreciate that. One quick question is: if they can find a part on Amazon and from your store, and there's different prices, why is that? You got 30 seconds.
Cost of overhead, trucks, training, health insurance, time off. A business that makes it so we can care about your experience is what the difference is. Plus, the biggest part is we had to tell you what the part is that's broken.
Right.
So why not have it replaced by the person that told you what was broken? Because it's less stress on you because you might break another part putting that part in. Just FYI.
That's it. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Eddie. Good seeing you. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. As we wrap into 2022. Tomorrow's the big year. I hope everybody's got great goals. And we look for success, health, and just blessings throughout the year.
Absolutely.
I love you guys.
Thanks for getting caught in the net today at 4. At 3 o'clock, we've got In the Know with Steph and Joe rerun. 5 o'clock, the new show, Two Bald Guys and Mike. And then check us out later, maybe around 6:30, 7 o'clock-ish, where we'll be coming live from Slipstream Studios for one last time. Before that all changes, we'll talk more about that. We'll be doing some fun stuff, hanging out, playing a little bit of music, chit-chatting, and just shuffling in the new year. For all of us here at 21.6 The Net, thanks for getting caught in the net. This has been the Neighborhood Pulse.